mourning the passing of Pope Francis. The Vatican announced that the Pope died. He died at 7:35 this morning, local time.
When Pope Francis passed away, the world mourned a leader, a historic figure, a man of faith. But far from the Vatican's grandeur, one woman grieved in quiet, his youngest sister, Maria Elena Bergoglio. She wasn't mourning a pope, she was mourning her brother, Jorge. Maria Elena stayed out of the spotlight her entire life. While her brother guided over 1 billion Catholics with his humble heart, she remained in the shadows, never seeking fame. But after his death, she finally spoke, and her words touched hearts everywhere. "He didn't leave us money or treasures," she said softly. "He left us something much deeper. That's why we cried. This isn't about wealth you can count. It's about the riches of the heart. Letters filled with love, sacrifices made in silence, and a bond that distance and duty couldn't break. It's the story of a boy from Buenos Aires who became a pope, and the family who let him go to follow his path. From their tough childhood days to the moment Jorge left home to serve God, to the bittersweet pride of watching him belong to the world, this is the real story behind the Pope's legacy. It's not about crowns or gold. It's about love, seen through the eyes of the sister who knew him best. Stick around, because you're about to hear a story no one else could tell. Maria Elena Bergoglio, the quiet sister of Pope Francis, is finally sharing her heart. For years, Maria Elena stayed silent, while her brother stood on balconies in Rome, waving to millions and speaking to world leaders. She lived a simple life in Ituango, Argentina, humble, private, and out of sight. But now, after his passing, she's ready to talk. In a gentle, emotional interview, Maria Elena opened up about the man behind the Pope's robes. Her words weren't just moving, they were deeply heartbreaking. "To the world, he was Pope Francis," she said softly. "To me, he was Jorge, my brother, my protector." Growing up in a modest Buenos Aires home, their family didn't have much, but they had each other. After their brother Alberto died and their father passed away, Jorge, the eldest son, became the rock of the family. When Papa was gone, Jorge took charge, Maria Elena recalled. He worked extra jobs, helped Mama, and kept us close. He never complained. He wasn't a star or a saint back then, just a big brother who read me bedtime stories and taught me how to pray. This is the untold story of the man who became Pope, seen through the eyes of the sister who loved him first. As Jorge Mario Bergoglio became a global symbol of faith, his sister, Maria Elena, chose to stay out of the spotlight. "I wanted him to focus on the church, not worry about me back home," she said. But staying quiet wasn't easy. As Jorge rose, first as a Jesuit, then a bishop, and later the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, Maria Elena cheered from a distance. She was proud, but her heart ached for the brother she used to laugh with in their kitchen, the one who'd sneak out for soccer and whisper, "Don't tell, Mama." When he became Pope Francis in 2013, everything changed. "We lost our privacy overnight," Maria Elena shared. "He didn't just belong to us anymore. He belonged to the world." Now, with his passing, Maria Elena is ready to share the real Jorge, not just the Pope, but the man who gave his all. His true wealth wasn't money or possessions, it was the love and hope he left in people's hearts. "He gave his life for others," she said softly. "He even gave his silence, but I won't stay silent anymore." Sometimes, the greatest legacy isn't what the world sees, it's what lives on in the hearts of those who knew you best. For Maria Elena, that's worth every tear. Coming up, what did Pope Francis really leave behind? And why did it move his sister so deeply? A life of simplicity or a hidden treasure? Jorge Mario Bergoglio was born in Buenos Aires in 1936 to Italian immigrants fleeing fascist Italy. His dad worked on the railways, and life wasn't easy. A fighter from the start, Jorge survived a serious infection at 21 that cost him part of his lung. He trained as a chemical technician and worked as a janitor and even a bar bouncer before answering his true calling to become a priest. Jorge Mario Bergoglio became a priest in 1969. He rose to become the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, and in 2001, Pope John Paul II named him a cardinal. Then, in 2013, at age 76, his fellow cardinals chose him to lead the world's 1.3 billion Catholics as Pope Francis. He picked the name Francis, inspired by the saint who loved animals and helped the poor. True to that spirit, Pope Francis lived simply. No fancy thrones, no private jets, no lavish Vatican rooms. He stayed in a modest guest house, wore plain shoes, and even carried his own bag. To the world, he seemed to own nothing. But after his passing, a surprising truth emerged. Pope Francis did leave behind a fortune, not in cash, property, or luxury, but in something far greater: sacrifice, love, and a lasting legacy. He didn't leave us things you can hold, his sister Maria Elena said, her voice full of emotion. But what he gave us brought us to tears. Growing up in Buenos Aires, the Bergoglio family didn't have much. Their dad was a railway accountant, their mom raised 5 kids, and money was scarce. But love? They had that in abundance. As the eldest surviving son, Jorge stepped up young, especially after their father died. He took extra jobs, helped put food on the table, and became like a second parent to his siblings. We didn't realize it then, Maria Elena recalled, but Jorge was building something bigger than wealth. He didn't give his mom jewels. He gave her peace. He didn't promise his siblings riches. He gave them faith and guidance. He didn't chase fame. He lived to serve. And even as Pope, that never changed. After Pope Francis passed away, Maria Elena opened a drawer she'd kept closed for years. Inside were decades of letters, birthday cards, holiday blessings, and quiet notes sent from Rome. These were no ordinary letters. They were her brother's heart on paper. Every word felt like a piece of him, she said, her voice soft. He reminded me that no matter how far away he was, we were always connected. The world counts wealth in money, but for Maria Elena, her brother's true treasure was something far richer: love, devotion, and memories that never faded, no matter how much time or distance separated them. When she cried, it wasn't for what he didn't leave behind. It was for the gift he gave her that no one else ever could. Coming up next, the moment everything changed. The day Jorge left home for good to become a priest. The day he left home. The day a brother became a priest. In 2015, during a visit to the Philippines, Pope Francis spoke to a crowd, humbly asking for their prayers. The Filipino people responded with heartfelt words. "We promise to pray for you, Your Holiness. But we also want to remind you that Jesus prays for you." Jesus himself said to Peter, "I have prayed for you, Peter, that your faith will not fail." You are blessed, and we, your beloved Filipinos, join Jesus in praying for you to God, the Father. The Pope had arrived in the Philippines 3 days earlier, and as his departure neared, the people shared a powerful wish. Every Filipino wants to go with you, not to Rome, but to the places you go, to the edges of the world, to the shanties, the prisons, the hospitals, the worlds of politics, finance, arts, sciences, culture, education, and media. We want to walk with you to bring the light of Christ. This was the spirit of Jorge, the man who left home to serve, carrying his sister's love and the world's hopes with him. Jesus was at the heart of Pope Francis's mission and the foundation of his life's work. At just 21, Jorge Mario Bergoglio made a choice that changed everything, not just for him, but for his whole family. Back then, he was just Jorge, a soccer-loving kid with a knack for science, a big laugh, and a protective streak for his siblings that made their home feel complete. But one day, he sat his little sister Maria Elena down and said, "I feel called to something bigger than myself." And just like that, he was gone. To the seminary, to a life of silence and sacrifice. It felt like we lost him, Maria Elena admitted. We were so proud, but it hurt. Their mother tried to stay strong, but her eyes gave her away. She prayed hard that night, and every night after. She knew what Jorge's choice meant. They'd see him less, hear from him less. Still, her love for him never wavered. At first, Jorge's letters came often, filled with check-ins, questions about Maria Elena's schoolwork, and little prayers. But as he rose in the church, their lives drifted apart. His absence left a hole. "He was like a second dad to me," Maria Elena said. "When he left, I lost that steady anchor." Even so, she understood it wasn't about leaving her behind. It was about purpose. Even as a teenager, Maria Elena could see her brother was meant for something extraordinary, something far bigger than a normal life. The hardest part? Loving him meant letting him go. Jorge didn't chase fame. He chased God, she said. And sometimes that meant leaving the ones he loved most. What he gave up wasn't just his home. He gave up birthdays, family dinners, and shared laughs, everyday moments that mean everything. In return, he gave the world a leader. Coming up, what did the rest of the Bergoglio family give up to support Jorge's path? And what quiet price did they pay for his calling? A family's sacrifice? A church's gain? Everyone talks about Pope Francis's sacrifices, but few think about what his family gave up. When Jorge entered the seminary, it wasn't just his life that changed. It was theirs, too. The house grew quieter. The dinner table felt empty. Their mom's tears came more often. "We supported him, of course," Maria Elena said, "but no one tells you how lonely it feels. After their dad died, Jorge had been their rock, the one who kept the family together. When he left, that warmth faded. He was their glue, and without him they didn't break, but they felt the strain. Still, they stood by him. They treasured every letter, saved every photo, and clipped every newspaper story about him. When he became Pope, they cheered through their tears. It was the happiest and saddest day." Maria Elena shared, "The boy we splashed in puddles with was now Pope, and we knew he'd never fully be ours again." As Pope Francis's fame grew, the family faced new pressures. Reporters showed up at their door. Critics dug for secrets. Every part of their lives was under a microscope. Through it all, Maria Elena stayed quiet, until now. "We gave him to the world," she said. "That was our gift, and it came from love." She remembers her mom's words. "He doesn't belong to us anymore. He belongs to God." As scandals swirled and politics raged, the Bergoglio family held strong, carrying the hidden weight of being tied to a global figure. "We cried in private, but we never stopped believing in him," Maria Elena said. "Behind every great person is a family who gives more than anyone knows." For the Bergoglios, the biggest sacrifice wasn't just losing Jorge, it was knowing he could never truly come back. Coming up, what Pope Francis left behind after his death, and why it moved his sister to tears. The hidden legacy, his true gift. The world is grieving the loss of Pope Francis, the people's pope. Over the next few weeks, the Vatican will follow sacred, centuries-old traditions. A 9-day mourning period has begun, with multiple masses to honor him. His body will be blessed and will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica, where people can come to say goodbye. True to his simple style, Pope Francis planned a modest funeral in 2024. Unlike past popes, whose bodies were displayed on grand platforms, he chose to rest in an open wooden coffin, keeping things humble, without extra fanfare. When someone as influential as a pope passes, people imagine hidden treasures or secret riches. But when Jorge Mario Bergoglio, Pope Francis, died, the Vatican found no gold or wealth. His true treasure wasn't something you could count. It was found in words, in letters, in love. He didn't leave riches. He left relationships. Maria Elena, his sister, says that was his real fortune. In her home, tucked in a worn wooden box, Maria Elena keeps dozens of handwritten letters from Jorge. Some are decades old. Others arrived just months before his passing. They're not formal or filled with religious teachings. They're personal. Brother to sister, Jorge to Maria. In one, he wrote, "Even from Rome, I carry you with me. I pray for you every morning." In another, "I know Mama would be proud of us both. Keep going. God sees everything." These weren't speeches for the world. They were quiet, heartfelt notes that kept their bond strong, no matter the miles between them. "His words always gave me strength," Maria Elena said. "They made me feel like he was never really gone." After his death, the family was offered papal robes and symbolic keepsakes. But Maria Elena only wanted one thing: his letters. They were his true legacy, and to her, they were priceless. "Those letters mean more to me than anything money could buy," Maria Elena said. "They're proof that the man in the white robes never forgot who he was or where he came from." When Pope Francis passed, he left a grieving church. But for his sister Maria Elena, he left something even more precious. His humor, his heart, his human side, all captured in those handwritten notes. That's a treasure no one can take away. But being Pope didn't shield Jorge from the world's harsh spotlight. Rumors, pain, and criticism followed him. After he became Pope Francis, people dug into his past, and what they found stirred up controversy. Some claimed he stayed silent during Argentina's brutal military dictatorship in the 1970s. Others whispered he became a priest to escape a broken heart, running to the church after a lost love. For Maria Elena, watching these stories spread was agonizing. "People say things without understanding," she said. "They see a snapshot and think they know the whole story." But she says the real story is different. Their family escaped fascist Italy to start over in Argentina. Their father stood against tyranny, and Jorge inherited that courage. During Argentina's dictatorship, he didn't turn away. He played a risky game to survive and help others. He protected people, including his priests. But speaking out loudly would have gotten him killed, Maria Elena explained. So he worked quietly, secretly, carefully. One well-known case involved two Jesuit priests, Orlando Yorio and Francisco Jalix, who were captured and tortured by the regime. Some said Jorge failed to protect them, but what many missed were the stories of survivors who said he saved their lives. That was the real Jorge, brave, not loud, selfless, not showy. And Maria Elena wants the world to know the truth about her brother's heart. He risked everything, but no one talks about that, Maria Elena said. Jorge didn't boast. He just did what was right. Then there were the rumors about a lost love. Some claimed he became a priest to escape a broken heart, running from romance to God. Maria Elena calls it nonsense. Jorge felt God's call as a teenager, long before any of that, she said. He didn't flee from love. He chased a greater love, God. For years, Maria Elena stayed silent, letting the world spin its stories. She didn't defend him publicly, but after his death, she felt compelled to speak, not just for Jorge, but for the truth. He wasn't perfect. He was human, she said, but he was never weak, never fake, and never silent for the wrong reasons. When Jorge became Pope Francis, the spotlight turned on the whole family. Some hid from it, but Maria Elena stood quietly, grieving in private. Now, she's ready to tell the real story. Coming up, Maria Elena shares something deeply personal, her brother's final words to her, the final letters, a brother's last words. Sometimes, the greatest treasures aren't locked in vaults. They're tucked in a drawer, tied with a faded ribbon. Maria Elena keeps a bundle of handwritten letters from Jorge, her brother. They're not official Vatican statements or grand speeches. They're personal notes, filled with his heart. The last one arrived just weeks before his death. It was short, but it said everything. In it, Jorge wrote, "My body is tired, but my heart is strong. And you, Hermana, have always been part of that strength." He didn't mention his illness or say goodbye. Instead, he wrote about hope, faith, and how proud he was of her. "He told me to keep going, to pray, to love," Maria Elena said, holding the worn paper like it was priceless. Those words, that letter, were his final gift to her, a treasure worth more than gold. That final letter brought Maria Elena to tears, not just because it was the last, but because it brought back the Jorge she always knew. The boy who'd hide chocolate under her pillow. The brother who held her hand when their dad passed away. "Even as Pope, he never stopped being my brother," she said. Throughout his time as Pope, Jorge stayed the same. No matter how busy he was, he kept writing to Maria Elena, checking in with her. Even with the whole church looking to him, he made time for those letters. "Pray for me. Don't stop. I feel your prayers from here," he wrote. Those letters were his true legacy to her. Not titles or wealth, but love, written in his own handwriting. In one, he tucked in a photo of them as kids, which Maria Elena keeps by her bedside. In another, he sent a pressed flower from a Vatican garden. He didn't just write, he shared pieces of himself, she said softly. In his last letter, he left words that still echo in her heart. "No matter what happens next, you'll always have my prayers and my love." That was Jorge's final gift to her, a treasure worth more than all the riches in Rome. Coming up next, the heartfelt final chapter, how Maria Elena carries her brother's legacy and what his passing means to the family he left behind. Not just the church's pope, our Jorge, forever. To the world, he was Pope Francis. But to Maria Elena, he was always Jorge, her big brother. Even now, with his white robes folded and the Vatican bells quiet, he remains the boy who walked her to school, who called her Chinita and gave her strength when the world felt overwhelming. She keeps a candle burning in his memory, not for the Pope, but for the brother who made her feel safe. And in her heart, Jorge will always be with her. People say he belonged to the church, but I know he was always ours too, Maria Elena said softly. She misses his laugh, the way he listened, not as a pope, but as her brother, a man with a big heart. Now she holds tight to his memory through his letters, his words, and the values he lived by. kindness, service, and faith. "I didn't just lose my brother," she said. "I lost my spiritual guide." Sometimes Maria Elena wishes he had never become pope. If he hadn't been chosen, maybe they'd have had more time, more talks, more hugs. "I wish the world hadn't taken him from us," she admitted. "But then, I see the people he helped, the lives he changed, and I know it was worth it." The world may not fully grasp what his papacy cost their family. The loneliness, the distance, the quiet sacrifices. But Maria Elena knows. Now she's sharing their story, not for pity, but to tell the truth. "He wasn't just a holy man, he was a good man," she said. "I want people to remember that." Even with Jorge gone, Maria Elena feels his presence. "When I pray, it's like he's right beside me, whispering, 'Don't be afraid.'" In a world full of noise and headlines, Maria Elena's story is like a gentle song. It's not about wealth or even religion. It's about family. A sister who loved her brother beyond words. A pope who never stopped being her big brother. And a legacy not counted in money, but etched in hearts. "The world lost a pope," Maria Elena said, "but I lost my Jorge, and I'll love him forever."